The Airbus A340 was supposed to be Airbus's grand entrance into the world of long-haul dominance, a sleek four-engine machine ready to challenge Boeing's control of the skies. Europe, Asia, and the Middle East embraced it, but in the United States something strange happened. Not a single major airline ever placed an order. No American, no Delta, no United. None of them touched it. At first glance, it seems obvious. Boeing was stronger, the A340 was less efficient, end of story. But the truth runs deeper. Behind that absence was a quiet battle involving timing, politics, and corporate loyalty. Boeing wasn't just selling airplanes, it was defending an empire, and an Airbus, still learning the rules of the game, had no idea just how much power it was up against. To understand why America turned its back on one of Europe's most ambitious jets, we need to rewind to when the A340's story began. An era when the skies were already owned by someone else. When Airbus introduced the A340 in the early 1990s, it wasn't just releasing another jet. It was declaring war on Boeing's long-haul monopoly. The European planemaker wanted a seat at the table dominated for decades by American giants like the 747, 767, and DC-10. The A340 was meant to change that. A four-engine marvel built for range, safety, and prestige, offering airlines multiple configurations, from the shorter A340-200 to the ultra-long-range A340-600. In Europe, carriers like Lufthansa and Air France celebrated the aircraft as a technological victory. Asian and Middle Eastern airlines saw it as a gateway to global prestige. But across the Atlantic, there was silence. Airbus expected to break into the US market, but what they didn't realize was that America's aviation ecosystem was more than a business network. It was a fortress built around loyalty, legacy, and national identity. And in that environment, even the most advanced European jet would struggle to find a way in. In the United States, Boeing wasn't just a manufacturer. It was part of the nation's DNA. American, Delta, and United had invested billions into Boeing fleets. Pilots trained on Boeing cockpits, mechanics maintained Boeing systems, and airports stocked Boeing parts. Switching to Airbus would mean rewriting pre-redentum entire operational manuals, retraining thousands of employees, and investing millions in new infrastructure. Boeing knew this and used it masterfully. Instead of selling planes, they sold partnerships. When they developed the 767 and later the 777, US Airlines were part of the design process itself, giving them aircraft built to their exact needs. Airbus, by contrast, arrived with a take-it-or-leave-it product. Technologically sound, but culturally foreign. And Boeing wasn't afraid to play hardball. They offered deep discounts, bundled maintenance deals, and political influence that Airbus couldn't touch. For US Airlines, the choice wasn't just about fuel or performance. It was about staying aligned with the home team. If Airbus's strategy was bold, its timing was catastrophic. The A340 entered service in 1993, just as twin-engine technology started proving itself for long-haul flights. For decades, safety regulations required four engines to cross oceans, but new OTIOPS certifications changed everything, allowing twin jets like the Boeing 767 to fly the same routes more efficiently. Suddenly, four engines went from reassuring to unnecessary. Then, in 1995, Boeing unveiled the 777, a game-changer designed hand-in-hand with US Airlines. It could fly farther, burn less fuel, and cost less to maintain. While Airbus was celebrating the A340's European success, American carriers were already counting down to their first 777 deliveries. The A340 was born into an era that no longer needed it, a victim of progress arriving just a few years too late. On paper, the A340 looked competitive, but real-world economics told another story. With four CFM56 engines, the jet was powerful yet thirsty. burning significantly more fuel than Boeing's twin-engine 777. For airlines where every drop of fuel mattered, this wasn't a small issue. It was millions of dollars lost each year. The 777 not only flew farther on less fuel, but also carried similar passenger loads with lower maintenance costs. Two engines meant half the parts, half the potential failures, and half the expenses. Boeing's engineers had crafted an aircraft so efficient that airlines couldn't ignore it. Even those impressed by Airbus's European innovation saw no reason to complicate their fleets with a jet that cost more to fly. The A340 was a capable machine trapped in an unforgiving economic reality, a masterpiece that couldn't pay its own bills. There was, however, one moment that could have rewritten the story. In 1987, Northwest Airlines, a major US carrier, placed an order for 20 A340s, with options for 10 A330s. For Airbus, this was the breakthrough they'd been waiting for, but fate had other plans. The Gulf War spiked fuel prices, the US economy stumbled, and Northwest found itself struggling with debt from a massive leveraged buyout. When Airbus switched the A340's engines to a less powerful model, confidence eroded. Finally, in 1992, just before the aircraft's debut, Northwest cancelled its order. That single decision erased Airbus's shot at legitimacy in the American market, and by the time the economy recovered, the Boeing 777 was already on the horizon, promising everything the A340 couldn't. Efficiency, range, and a direct line to US airline preferences. The opportunity vanished, and with it, Airbus's American dream. To truly understand why the A340 failed in America, you have to look beyond performance metrics. Aircraft purchases in the US weren't just financial decisions. They were political statements. Every Boeing sale meant American jobs, American factories, and American pride. The A340, on the other hand, was Europe's jet, a symbol of foreign competition in a sector long considered a national treasure. Choosing Airbus over Boeing wasn't just worth switching suppliers. It was choosing sides. Congress, unions, and the public all paid attention. For executives at Delta, American or United, the risk wasn't just operational. It was reputational. And Boeing made sure everyone remembered it. The narrative was simple. Buying American kept America strong. In that atmosphere, the A340 never stood a chance. While the A340 struggled to gain traction, Airbus was taking notes. The company realized that the problem wasn't just the aircraft. It was the approach. US Airlines didn't want extreme range or 4 engines. They wanted fuel savings, flexibility, and designs tailored to their hub and spoke systems. So Airbus did something it had never done before. It listened. During the development of the A350, executives worked directly with American carriers to understand their exact needs, from cockpit layouts to maintenance procedures. The result was a jet that fixed every flaw the A340 had exposed. Twin engines, 25% better fuel efficiency, and the kind of airline collaboration Boeing had mastered decades earlier. The A350 wasn't just a new aircraft, it was Airbus's redemption arc. Proof that they could learn, adapt, and finally win where they once failed. The Airbus A340 may never have worn the colours of a major US airline, but its legacy reaches far beyond its absence. It taught Airbus how to compete, not just in design, but in understanding markets, timing, and strategy. The lessons from its failure gave birth to the A350, a jet that finally earned Airbus a seat at America's aviation table. In a way, the A340 didn't fail at all. It simply took a longer route to victory. And if you found this story as fascinating as we did, the hidden strategies, the corporate battles, and the lessons buried in history, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button to help more aviation fans discover this story and leave a comment sharing your thoughts on whether the A340 was truly a failure or the jet that taught Airbus how to win. Your support helps us keep creating detailed technical aviation breakdowns just like this one.